Hi, Saturday chat time. Okay, quite a lot of things to talk about. And I haven't made a video for a few days because once again I've been organizing inside the model room. Another shelf. And this is sort of inevitable. Whenever the organization happens, modeling is not happening. Although I did get to some somewhat difficult tasks. But okay, let's first get a couple of these things out the way. So this, obviously not plastic modeling, but I'm at a phase of this where it is plastic modeling in that I need to weather this hole. As pretty as it is, I hesitate to say that it's just not going to suit the overall scheme of things being so pretty. So I want to do a this. I've been pondering exactly what to even call the type of weathering and how to approach it, because it's not going to be a rusted hull. It's not going to be a fishing vessel that is absolutely dilapidated, but it needs something to look old. So the weathering part of all of this is essentially plastic modeling. These are not Humbrels. These are spray cans from the hardware store. And this green was really awful. It took ages and ages to dry and still remained tacky. I did spray it very thick, but I think the type of paint. So the thing that I'm going to try on this, and it would sort of make an interesting concept for plastic modeling as well. I've sanded it with some 400, which you can probably make out there, not just to give a little bit of, so it wasn't so glossy for whatever weathering I do. I'm going to do a staining. So I'm going to do a sort of a watered down stain, wood stain. Almost to try and reproduce a watermark type of, just you know, I don't want to do multiple greens. I don't want to do yet. I'm still pondering. After each step I'll judge it and we'll see where we stand. But I'm going to try a little bit of a wood stain, but not strong enough to actually, you know, make it brown. Just a slight dirtying. I've done the white edging, but it still needs some cleaning up, and I haven't done that. Some of the undersides, I don't think I'm actually going to do the underside of the white railing white. I'll just neaten it up. So that's an interesting thing that's happening there. Every now and again when I get to it. Let me show you this. Now, who knows what that is? If I lift up the wings, you'll know it immediately. What is that? 172 scale, this is. Look how big that is. 172. So one of the largest aircraft ever with these huge long wings. That is the Valkyrie testers, which has been in a far deep part of the shelf for ages, but this would make such an amazing model hanging on the roof, or hanging on the ceiling. So at some stage I think I need to start getting halves of things glued together on this one. And you hardly ever see them for sale. I'm wearing my beanie because it's getting colder and colder here. And inevitably through the winter I'm going to have to be wearing my beanie anyway, and probably scarf as well. Okay, so I just got a couple of these, and I have had a couple. Yeah, there's the smaller ones. These are quite strong. This one is not as strong, but because they're plastic, you can't really put them on the edge of something, because they, I mean, okay, that one's making it. So if you wanted to clamp down your trailing edges, the reason these are so handy is because they adjust to the to the angles that you want to press, as opposed to that which doesn't. That's also one of those old strong pegs, strong spring. Some of the modern ones are not nearly as strong. But what I wanted to say about this, and I see this on some people's videos and I cringe, when they use a strong thing, clamp down the trailing edge so that they can do other things, and the poor wing is being squashed so much that the trailing edge is sort of popping open again. Same on the leading edge. So all I really wanted to say is don't. It's possibly one of the most annoying things in modeling, is having to sit there for an hour, while, especially with halves that are not quite touching properly, you know, not as perfect as some kits, and you've got to keep on sitting there, pressing it down, making sure that it's joining, checking the leading edge, rather than putting pegs on or clamps on and coming back later and it's set with not a perfect trailing edge. I often have to sit with a fuselage or a wing section for longer than you'd like to. I won't put a time on it, you know, sometimes it's only 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's not commonly half an hour, obviously, but there are times when the amount of pressure and the specific pressure needed on an area meant that you had to sit there and keep on pressing, and you know, things like this. There's no type of clamp that you can do there. You can put elastic bands and you can put tape on sometimes, but often while the glue is setting, and for this I'm often using tube glue to enhance the strength of the bond on the inside there, you end up sitting for much longer than you'd like, which is where Netflix and YouTube comes in handy. Sit and watch something while you're adjusting that. But these little ones certainly do come in handy at stages. Nice to have a couple of those clamps there. So what I've been doing is that three pieces of undercarriage door per side and the air brake, 2 air brakes, so that's 8 pieces, where all of the recess was too much. So if you glued them in without doing anything, they would all sit too low. Quite an annoying task, but I just, there's no way around that. I don't think people build undercarriage up, especially not on 1/48ths very often, because of, well, sort of like you've paid for that undercarriage, you're going to use that undercarriage. But some aircraft have got such clean lines. I'm doing 2 Phantoms with undercarriage up and a third one undercarriage down. One of them absolutely clean. This one will be absolutely clean, no pylons, nothing. In flight, a second one will have stores on it, undercarriage up and full stores on it in flight, and these will hang from my ceiling, and then a third one will stand on the shelf. But you know, 1/48th Phantom uses so much shelf space. This, I got this one from someone. It's got this resin cockpit, and I never ever do resin cockpits. And this one is going to go in there. It's okay. I've done a. Some of it was done already, and I've done a very quick black with highlights just to make it look like a interesting cockpit. But it's going to be on the ceiling. No one's ever going to see this. The intakes have been put on without being painted on the inside, which means I've got, that's possibly something I need to address today before the wings can go on. I want to glue this fuselage and put the wings on. A nice model, it'll look very nice. On the Matador, So I'm going to use some of this thin. I did decide I will actually lay planks onto the bed. Simply because I think in this case it will actually just give that visual interest on what is a very small model. I'm still pondering whether I will change it from being brown as if it was then painted planks on the back, which would be more suitable, so I get this nice wood grain, which is very nice, rather than having to work that into the plastic. So I've already cut up all the strips. I'll do that today. That'll probably have to go on with contact adhesive, probably be the best. This is the one I wanted to show in another video. For the kitbashing, you've seen many of the people do this, and since I have a ME109 which I messed up some aspect of the wing, I can't remember exactly, and then the people turn their ME109 into that classic sort of vehicle with the wheels on it, and makes a nice little runaround buggy. So that's what that's destined for. I just haven't settled on wheels. Okay, before I get to that, actually, I was watching a video on a guy. Now, of course, this comes down to, well, if you enjoy doing it, go for it. I watched a guy doing his older kit, taking off all the raised detail and rescribing all of the lines. And that is such a huge job. And I was just pondering, I mean, for doing nothing except possibly a light sanding, as I do on some of the Airfix kits, just to reduce that, you still keep the visual effect of all of the detail with just enough sanding to make it not feel too over the top raised. But going to the level of rescribing all of that, because I mean, you need to put so many pieces of bracing tape. I can't remember what that tape is called, that thicker tape, so that your scribing doesn't run out of the line. I've done enough scribing of things to know how easy it is to mess up a scribe line. And if you've slipped with your blade once, or your scriber once, then you have a nasty thing to fix. But anyway, there's so many aspects in modeling where, well, the guy enjoyed doing it on that model, so be it. But I sort of differentiate between essential tasks and choice tasks. So this was annoying, but if I didn't do that, well, you weren't going to get the undercarriage doors in such a way that you have a very nice flush surface. But rescribing is not something that I will be doing. I will do it only in the absolute emergency of circumstances. So I went and got, I've got enough sandpapers everywhere, but since I was at the hardware store, and I just got 3 of the finer ones, and I've written there on the back 2000, because and 1.5 and what have you, because I end up cutting them into the small squares, obviously, and then it's nice to at least see, there I've managed to get 3 of the indications, 2 of the indications, so I know what they are at the time. And what I was going to speak about is, sometimes you end up with your little pieces of paper that are so handy and so nice, and they're just perfect for sanding, but you're wearing off the edges. You can see that because you're not only flat sanding, you're sort of going in on an edge into a fillet, and these edges get a bit whacked, and you can just trim off the edges with your scissors, take off 2 millimeters, and still keep your paper that is still working well for you, rather than grabbing a new one each time. And it's not about saving on the paper, it's more like you sort of use in a piece of sandpaper, no matter which thickness, which grit it was, and you oh, that's what I find anyway. I've got like these 3 or 4 pieces of sandpaper that are really, really perfect for the work that I'm doing, and eventually, of course, they do wear out, but then I just trim them off. They do get a bit smaller, but it's really nice to keep the ones that's working well. This one is now too large. I've cut that one a bit too large, but still okay. This would be about perfect. This is now my style. That would be about perfect. That one's bordering on getting a bit small, but it can still go for a while. Anyway, yeah, tell me how you guys use your sandpapers. I'm guessing the little squares are quite common. Scribing I've covered. I have this tank as well. This one was I can't quite remember, a semi-built tank that I got from someone for next to nothing, and I decided to just complete it and try out some things. And this was one of those where I can't remember if this was one of the first ones where I did a 1/35th with not rubber tracks. And things didn't go smoothly, let's just put it that way. There's something odd that happened there, but I can't remember if that was a section that was already done. I could have broken that loose, so I'm not exactly sure why that happened. Flat sections all good. I mean, in general, everything was good. There's a little something where the curvature extends beyond the curvature of the wheel. So yeah, there are things, and on that side as well. So there are places where you do have to work your individual track links quite nicely to suit. So on this tank, yeah, absolutely nothing else done. I just did a very basic scheme, and this is not even worth displaying in my cabinet. I don't even know what kit this was. Not Tamiya. And I don't think I'll be doing a whole lot more 1/35th vehicles where someone has already started them. But I guess it was really just the links that I was practicing on that, which well, it was an interesting learning curve. Apart from that, I have been working on some halves of things, gluing halves together and sitting there and sanding. So today I've got to get to a little bit of spraying and gluing. I want to get this one done. So this is going to be an all gloss blue Phantom, which is actually the box art. That's not even my own scheme that I'm doing on it, but I am going to tweak the scheme slightly. And I was thinking I should say a little bit of something about that, where you, or I think many modelers feel that, you know, you've paid a certain amount for the kit, it's somewhat of a good kit, doing your own scheme on it is a little bit towards wrecking your kit almost, because the legitimacy of your scheme over a box provided scheme with all of those decals, I think stops a lot of people from trying interesting things on their models, especially sometimes bigger models. Now I got these 3 Phantoms, and I'm willing to do that on them. Of course, I'm also doing the same on many of my Mustangs and Harvards, Reno schemes. These aren't going to be Reno, of course, but you could do a interesting Reno Phantom, as odd as that sounds. Maybe I will. Maybe it's time to do a Reno Phantom, come to think of it. Yeah, try little odd schemes. Actually, while I was looking at Matador schemes, I'm now pondering whether I should not do the green Matador scheme, because I noticed that, and I think almost all of these are in England, this must be all England, private owners of Matadors have painted them in amazing schemes, old style, business use schemes, and of course just some made up schemes where they're just making their vehicle look very nice. And those Matadors look amazing. I didn't realize there were so many privately owned Matadors, and it seems like it's a very nice truck to own. So I'm now pondering between military or now civilian owned, and I'm slightly tending towards the civilian owned Matador, because you've got quite a nice color set that you can do on that now. Yeah, give your thoughts on that as well. Okay, see if I can do another video later today. Onwards to modeling. Cheers.